Yeah, I mean, I think that I'm listening to a really good book that a really smart person suggested to me called Five Types of People That Will Ruin Your Life. And I only wish I had read it years ago. And here's the main takeaway, that there are about 10% of people out there, and it cuts across all the standard labels of like narcissists and borderline and all that. Like they include some of that, but they depart from that and they just focus on what. This is a guy who's a psychologist. It's written by a guy who's a psychologist. He's worked a lot on conflict resolution over the years, courtroom type stuff, et cetera. And he says in this 10% of people, they are high conflict people. But they like conflict. They feed off it. They like drama. They like conflict. They like creating it. But within that category, it's pretty evenly divided, he claims, between women and men. And then there's a further division where about half of them play passive and victim, but are highly manipulative. They use other people to try and basically harm.
Yeah.
And then the other 5% are very like aggressive and abrasive. And so he has this great set of protocols. I love protocols that are essentially like, don't move in with, marry, or get engaged to, or have a child with somebody in the first year. And this cuts in both directions. Just don't make that agreement in year one. As well as for any behavior that kind of cues those senses, gets your spidey senses up like you were describing, ask yourself, would 90% or more of people do that behavior? And if it's a no, like you have to pause. In other words, what he's saying in this book is that most people are actually pretty healthy, but that most of the woes of the world are created by about 10% of people, which he calls these high conflict people. But they don't always come out high conflict like screaming and yelling. Mm-hmm. They're often very tactical and manipulative and very vindictive. They'll leverage victimhood. They'll leverage a lot of different things. And again, cuts across men and women equally, he claims. And again, I don't know the data behind this book, but the book itself just feels like a very useful thing that everybody should know about. So I'm enjoying reading this book going, oh my God, I wish I had this book years ago. Plus, I'm realizing like, oh yeah, like we always hear this. Most of our problems come from a very small set of people and things.
And most of society's problems.
And so who are these people? So we tend to call them narcissists or sociopaths or psycho, but those labels, while very useful in the clinic, I think have been overused in the general public. And like, we're not clinicians. We're not diagnosing anybody. And so, but difficult people that can ruin your life abound. But it turns out it's only about 10%. So